Small one, but for me it's quite significant in that the first ever feminist conference I organised back in 2004 spent months and months trying to convince people to come to it. Posters, flyers, going to every gig that I could to try and get people to realise that something feminist does exist and that they should come. And then Feminista is organising a summer school in August, which is basically 2 days of feminist activist training. And in the first day, when I just sent out some emails, put something on Facebook, 200 people had already signed up before we'd finished the designs. And to me, that's incredibly exciting because I can see the difference and the change that is happening. But it has also brought about real change, this upsurge. It was really this kind of grassroots activism which brought about a change in the law around how lap dancing clubs are licensed, a change in the law around basically raping women who have been trafficked, so now it's a criminal offence to do that. But the task really now is to keep building on that. We have this upsurge. We have changed the terms of the debate. The debate in the media now is not does feminism exist, it's what can it achieve. So that's challenge number one. For me, the second challenge is to start to engage men in a very real and meaningful way. Because for all of these problems that we're talking about, rape, domestic violence, the cultures which are feeding the sex industry, in order to tackle those, we need to change fundamentally what it means to be a man in this society. And you simply cannot do that if men are not in the room, if they're not part of the process. Because over recent decades, women's lives have been utterly revolutionised, but men's have not. And I bet there's an awful lot of men in this audience right now who care passionately and deeply about feminism, but have probably never really got involved, not sure if they should go along to the conferences, not sure if they should be re-talking about it. They support it, but you know, women should lead the movement. Well, my challenge to you is to do something. Get involved. I don't think it will be easy. I mean, we're talking about quite a massive change in how feminist activism takes place, and we'll mess it up. And it will take debate, and it will take a negotiation. But the alternative is a half-finished revolution, and I, for one, can't bear the thought of that.
Kat?
No. Okay. Last sentence.
Quickly.
So the challenge for creating a feminist society, as with any kind of new society, is absolutely huge. But feminism is nothing if not audacious. If we think the oppression of women, we're talking about it having taken place and built up over thousands and thousands of years, then organised feminism came around, turned around, stuck its middle finger up at history, and utterly changed the world. And now it's our turn to do that.
Thank you, Kat. And we support everything that you're doing. This is the bit where we go all a bit, this is your life, when we have a video from someone who couldn't be here today but wanted to be. Gavin, can we roll the film, please? Thank you. Gavin, someone? Cue the film. They really wanted to be here, honestly. Can we do it? If not, we'll do something else. There's a man up there with his thumb up. Technology.
Can I start by apologising for not being with you at the Compass conference today? I'm going to be in Wrexham talking to Labour's National Policy Forum. but I wanted to send you a message. I wanted to send you a message because of the importance I attach to Compass as an organisation and the importance I attach to the work that all of you are doing fighting against this government and fighting for a progressive future for Britain. First of all, let me say something about Compass. Now 40,000 members, one of the most dynamic organisations on the progressive side of politics that we have in Britain. And when you think about lots of the themes that Compass have been pursuing over the last few years, it's work on high pay, now leading to a high pay commission, rightly saying that we need responsibility at the top of our society. It's work on loan sharks, rightly saying that it is a scandal that the people, the poorest people in our society, get the worst deal in terms of credit. It's work on the banks, rightly calling for a repeat of the bank bonus tax, because it is the right thing to do in terms of fair taxation and the right thing to do in terms of what we can do with those resources for our society. Think of all that work that Compass does, and it has led the way on many of the issues that matter to our society. So I want to thank Compass, and in particular Neil Lawson, for the work that he has led over the years for Compass. Now, I also want to say something about where we are politically. We are 13 months into this Conservative-led government. We know that they are a hopelessly incompetent government, U-turning on a whole range of things. The latest, can you believe it, on circus animals. They can't even get that right. But they are not just incompetent. They are reckless as well. Reckless on the National Health Service, reckless in terms of what they are doing on the economy. Incompetent, reckless, and most of all, the same old Tories. Because sure, the veneer has changed, but look at what they are doing to our communities. Look up and down this country, and we see the damage they are doing. And that is what we are fighting against. But you know, what I know and what you know as well is this. The next election will not simply be won by Labour being a good opposition against this government. It's got to be won by us changing as well. And one of the areas, and this is where I'm going to be speaking to the National Policy Forum today, one of the areas where we need to change most of all from New Labour is around the way we do our politics. I remember growing up in the 1980s as a kid. Some of the things that were done in the 1980s to bring greater democracy to the Labour Party were right. The problem, though, in the 1980s was that internal Labour Party democracy was not linked enough to what the public were thinking, and we went on to lose 3 general elections during the 1980s and into 1992. The problem, though, in the 1990s and then particularly in the 2000s was the reaction to that. Because we went from being a party where we weren't sufficiently in touch with the public to an idea that you could have a leadership that connected to the public without the party. And that was wrong. And it was wrong, and it was proved to be wrong because actually we were a party that lost touch on many of the issues that mattered to people, on housing, on issues around immigration and the pressures that were created, on the bankers and what was happening there. And so therefore the task of party reform, and the task that I hope many of you will be engaged in, is the task of showing that we, the Labour Party, can be a party accountable to our party members, but they too are accountable and work with the public and are connected with the public. And that's what the reforms that I'll be talking about both at the National Policy Forum today and in the coming weeks and months are all about. A party which is genuinely connected to its members, a party which is a movement. You know, we have 4 million trade union levy payers up and down this country. They are connected to our party, but they do not feel part of our party. That has to change. They have to be part of local Labour parties at every level. That's the only way we will become a movement. We have to make sure that members feel they have a voice in our policy making, but members who are connected to the public, who are talking to the public. And we can learn from what community organisations like London Citizens do. And there's something else as well, the way we make policy. Think about the idea of the living wage. Think about the idea of safe havens for young people at risk from gun crime in London, a new idea being piloted by London Citizens. Those weren't ideas that simply came out of think tanks. Those ideas didn't come from people sitting in Whitehall. They came from the real lived experiences of people up and down this country. That is such an important lesson, not just about the way we are accountable as a party, but the way we make policy as a party as well. So I think that we can bring about very exciting party reforms which make the Labour Party a genuine, living, breathing movement again, and I hope that you will be part of it. Let me just end with this thought. Robin Cook spoke 5 years ago at your conference in June 2006, and he said that the task for Labour was to reinvent itself, renew itself as a progressive home. That is what my mission is about. I'm proud that we have won back some of the progressive voters that we lost over time, but I know we need to broaden our coalition. I do believe there is a progressive majority in this country. There is a progressive majority that believes in our values, in the values that we share, values of equality, social justice, and fairness. I know that many of the people at the conference today, many of the people involved with Compass, are the people at the forefront of those ideas. I want to thank you for your work. I want to wish you luck with the conference today. And I look forward to working with you over the years ahead to make sure that we can build the kind of fairer, more equal, more just country that we all believe in.
That's the first time we've had the leader of the Labour Party address the Compass conference. Gavin did a brilliant job in hiding the strings. Fantastic. We look forward to hearing from Ed in the flesh on another day. Look, Compass is blessed with the best brains in British politics. People who think and challenge themselves as much as they challenge us. And no one does that better for me than Francesca Klug, who is the director of the Human Rights Futures Project at the LSE, and she asked me to tell you that she has an OBE. Thank you very much, Francesca.
I'm actually much more violent than I look by my size, and I'm going to take him out afterwards. I don't know why he put those 3 letters after my name on this programme. He didn't do it with my permission. So, I'm starting really angry. And it gets worse from here, because call me Cassandra, but I want to start with the bad news. We've been told the TBGBs are over, that the factionalism and rivalry that dogged the new Labour years are ancient history. But now I'm afraid there's a replacement. Instead of the TBGBs, we've got the TBs, TGs, the big society versus the good society, and what are we to make of it all? In essence, as I see it, the big society is primarily about means. At its textbook best, and I like to give everybody a chance, it's about devolving and localizing power to enable individuals to take responsibility, word of the moment, for themselves and others. But at its real-world worst, the big society is, of course, about big cuts, shrinking the network of community-based initiatives that already flourish, asking the rest of us to step up the mark as public services come crashing down around us. And I read in the paper this morning that this is coming up close and personal for David Cameron, as one of his favourite youth clubs in his own constituencies that he'd heralded as the best example of the good society is about to close. The good society, on the other hand, is essentially about ends, about the kind of society we want to build. A good society is not about micromanagement and the politics of minute differences. It's about the kind of world we want to imagine, as we've just been hearing so stimulatingly this morning. The kind of world we want to imagine for ourselves and for the generations that come after us. But what's especially important, as it strikes me, about the good society idea is that it doesn't seek to detach ends from means. The emphasis on the good signals that we won't build a society, as Kat said actually, where all individuals can flourish if the means we use to get there are not what you would call good at all, if they appear unethical,